Episode 5 of 20, connecting authentic PBL with district goals and initiatives. You're a large district partner who is looking to increase engagement levels of students. There's a good chance that your district would also like to do that. They took an initiative and said, we want to find grant money. And what are a couple of things that we think would be promising practices, specifically looking at engagement? This innovative administrator at the central office level started investigating project-based learning. And PBL brings engagement from day one. Like we said, with the authentic real-world problem solving, the engagement is almost immediate. So he crafted a grant to fund 3 years of training. The grant fit the district initiative. The training, coaching, and student outcomes were successful, and PBL has permeated throughout the district. So starting with district goals is a big deal. They did a lot of things right. They had a 3-year plan, not a 1-year plan or a 1-day plan, right? So they wanted to get their own experts within their district, which they did. They have PBL certified facilitators in their district continuing the work. They also presented PBL to their school board. So the learners were in there. They wanted vape detectors in the bathrooms of the high school. The kids did. They brought it up. So they researched the best practices, the reasons for doing so, and then they presented it to the school board and they made a decision. Well, that's a big deal, right? And then it also showcases PBL in front of the school board. So it starts to educate the school board on PBL. So they did a lot of things well. They connected it to, I think the first thing they did is they connected it to a district initiative, right? Then they started to produce really great PBL units that were super authentic. And then they started to educate others on PBL and what that could look like. But for this talk, we're talking about how does it fit with district initiatives. I think every administrator can protect and intertwine project-based learning into their district goals and initiatives. So the first thing you want to consider district, community, and other supports. So when you look out in your community or your school landscape, where are the supports? Where are maybe some lack of supports, right? You might find like, hey, you need to go find someone to help support this. I think it makes a lot of sense up front. If you're the Lone Ranger, go find somebody that's close. Do you have an assistant superintendent? If you're the principal, do you have an assistant superintendent who'd be willing to protect your work? In one of our model schools, we had just that. There was an assistant superintendent that knew this work was important. They have a K-12 PBL pathway in their larger district. So there's a larger high school, and then our model school is part of that K-12 track, right? And there was an assistant superintendent that was always there that knew that this work was important, both for the kids that were in that K-12 PBL track, but also the district, because it was an incubator for innovative practices. So they would try these things in the K-12 PBL track and then bring them to other parts of the district. So as district mandates come down, as they do, maybe they come from the state, but we always know that as leaders, we need to be protecting those that we lead from some of these ideas. Some of them we need to pass down because that's what happens. And sometimes we need to be shielding the people that we lead from these things. And this assistant superintendent would do some of that work. So do you have a champion? Is there a place where this work fits? If SEL is a big district initiative, which is likely, project-based learning is the way to bring SEL into your culture, right? If you've ever been to a Castle workshop, you'll see that they're huge fans of project-based learning to build the culture and the mindset that wraps around SEL. And so find those district initiatives that are already happening and see where you can intertwine and enhance those, because those are the things that get attention. Those are the things that get funded. Those are the things that the district is looking to showcase. What other initiatives is your district pursuing that may seem like another thing to teachers that you can help bring into PBL and make it not another thing, right? So how can the initiatives leverage each other? So if I use the same example of SEL and PBL, SEL enhances PBL, PBL enhances SEL. When you're looking at SEL outside of like individual activities, like random acts of SEL, if you're really looking at a culture that really lives out, bringing SEL to the forefront, project-based learning is going to help with that process, with the protocols, the agreements, the norms, the personalization. All of those things speak to that whole learner. right? So if your staff is trying to get to the right side of the rubric and create this great mastery of content and SEL and these different things, we've actually got a protocol for that. And you can do it with yourself, and then you can do it with your leadership team once you kind of feel it. I'm actually happy to help you walk through it. Call it the dinner plate protocol, right? You bring something to your faculty meeting, and you can just see, and sometimes somebody will raise their hands. Are you going to put one more thing on our plate with this? Is that what's happening here? So we call it the dinner plate protocol. And you put all the different things on your whiteboard that you're asking your teachers to do, or that the district is asking your school to do, like all these different things, SEL, curriculum, right? And personalization, differentiated instruction, all the things. And then you, with an understanding of PBL, you make PBL the dinner plate. And you start to put on the dinner plate those things that can happen within project-based learning. Personalization, yep. SEL, yep. Right. Real world learning, yep. Employability skills, yep. Profile of a graduate, yep. And all those things start to fit on the dinner plate. And what we find in most scenarios is that you can fit all those initiatives into the PBL dinner plate. And if you've got one or two that don't, that's actually a kind of a win, because you're not forcing everything onto this PBL plate, but it's one other thing that you're going to have that's outside of the plate. So we make PBL the plate, not the extra thing, right? So as you're trying to get all of your help your teachers, do all the things, PBL can be that plate that kind of makes their whole life make sense. The other piece you want to look at from a district perspective is, why are you interested in bringing PBL to your school? And as you bring it to your school, realize you're bringing it to your district too. So you want to be able to answer the question, why PBL and why now? And I've got my answers for sure. And you're welcome to use some of ours, right? Like, look at our resources, listen to podcasts, YouTube videos, and use some of our wording. Use the research that we cite, right? As why PBL. PBL is really great. If you're a Title I elementary, it's a no-brainer, right? Like, we turn around Title I elementaries all the time with really great leaders, because the process is there, right? And then if you're in a secondary environment, or you're in a charter school environment, like, you want to stand out from other schools in your state or in your county, project-based learning is a great way to do that. Maybe you want to bring STEM careers in. What is the why PBL for you and your school? And then how does it fit to the district? I'd keep adding that on to each question, like, how does it fit with the district? Because that's why this episode is here. If you're doing it in your school, but somehow it's pushing against something else that someone else has as a district initiative, it's going to get difficult for you, right? If they're trying to make everybody do the exact same thing at the exact same time, you want to be in that conversation to say, I understand why you want to do that. My teachers are becoming curriculum creators through PBL. Can we get a little leeway on that? I need to fight for that. So where does your why PBL fit? And then why now? Why PBL right now? Why is it so important for your learners? Because AI is starting to pick up. And when our learners graduate, it's going to be insert the year, and people are going to go, what, really? And what are jobs going to look like then? They need to be able to problem solve, think critically, work in groups, present, have agency over the work that they're doing. They have to have that, because we don't know what the future is going to look like. We want them to be future ready. One of my new favorite phrases, by the way. Feel free to use that. We want our learners to be future ready. And if you're going to do that, you need to bring in project-based learning. So why PBL? Why now for your school? Then also for your district. What's the currency for your district? What's important to them? Because if you can tie it into that, then you're getting attention, you're getting funding, so that you can keep this work going and keep it strong. So I think every administrator can protect and intertwine PBL into their district goals and initiatives. You need to look at those initiatives, look at the strategic plan for your district and see where it fits, and use some of the same wording, then be explicit. I think we should bring PBL because the strategic plan says this. Consider, like, can you find somebody who's willing to help you with this at the central office level? What other initiatives do you have that fit into PBL that would help your staff and would help you streamline things? And then what's your why PBL, why now? All right, you're 25% of the way through this binge podcast for administrators. Congratulations. Not everyone makes it this far. But then again, you aren't everyone. You've got this. You're the leader that has a vision and you want to leave a legacy. So you're passionate, you're inspired, you want to transform education. Are you ready for a book? Come on. Your free PBL simplified book study. We're gonna put it in the show notes. But if you're looking to gain momentum for your PBL work, if you're in that crawl stage, getting ready to walk, knowing that you're gonna run, you're gonna want to invite a few more people into this. Invite your leadership team into a book study. You can learn together, and you can even start with, "Hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you all think?" Even if you're already in, it's a great way to start. Start a learning team to learn about PBL. And the book study brings up the hard questions. Let us bring those up. And then everybody else on your team can start to create solutions for your specific school. So start with the book study. There's a link in the description to get you started on the book study. There's also a link to that free ebook version of PBL Simplified to get you started. 2 chapters specifically for you as the leader. You can skip to those if you want, and then you can go back. You now have a vision for how PBL can fit within your district initiatives, but what about your teachers? We've got to fill them in too. In the next episode, we'll map out each of your staff members and get a plan for helping them thrive during the shift of PBL.